Good morning, and thank you for tuning into the Andrew Tate Show, brought to you by the GSMC Sport Network. We've got a great show for you guys today. We're going to be covering the Super Bowl, and then depending on how the show goes, we'll dive into ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers teaming up for a new streaming service. Then maybe eco-activists who glued themselves to a car showroom floor. And make sure you stick around for later in the show. We'll be diving into the oddities of the day. Before we start, I'd like to ask that you like and follow the show. Also, we get a number of questions from the viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on the air, I ask that you use the tips and donation link with your question. The tips and donation link is streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I can see it, and it also just really helps the show. Good morning / afternoon, Tate. How are you?
Hello, Miss Faith. The
Hello.
first thing Faith said, Faith and I haven't really talked this morning at all, because we want to talk about the game and everything while on air. But the first thing she said to me is, "You're bald." So I had to explain, so I'll explain to the audience. I am the weird guy that does not shave at all. Never have shaved it. I've tried a couple of times, but I just have never been a guy that really shaves or grows a lot of facial hair. So what you saw last week was like 3 weeks of stubble. It literally takes me about 3 weeks to a month to grow that much hair. So about every 3 weeks or once a month, I just cut everything off, and I'm good to go for a few weeks. So, so you'll see different phases between this and what was on Friday throughout this whole show. All right, my girl Faith, talk to me.
I'm tired. For one, I'm tired. I stayed up to watch the Super Bowl, and it got to a point where I was just like, you know what? I don't care who wins. I just wish someone will score so I can go to bed.
So you were that tired then?
Yes. I mean, I saw that it was overtime, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then at one point, I thought it was going to go into double overtime, and I was like, somebody just please score.
Wow, that is hilarious. It was a great game. Okay, you were talking about your side where you were watching the game and you were tired and exhausted. I missed the game.
You missed it?
Yes, I did.
You missed the biggest event.
Okay, let me explain how I missed the game. This sounds absolutely nuts, right?
Yeah.
So, we always end up bringing up the fact that I live in Europe. Okay, so I timed it out, and I had it set for 7 o'clock Pacific time, I was thinking the game was, which would be 2 a.m. my time. So when I woke up at 3, I figured everything about 3 a.m., the game was over because I timed it wrong. The game started at midnight. So I turned it on, and it was like the Chiefs are champions. I was like, what? So I did not have the drama and the build-up, so I could actually watch it more of a breakdown of the show. So this morning, I've watched the game twice. So look at the look on Faith's face, like, what? Did you just say you watched it twice?
I can't believe you missed it, first of all.
I slept through that bad boy. Well, I just had it time wrong. I had it in my head. It was 3 a.m. I was going to watch it at 3 a.m. It was actually midnight is when the game started. Yeah. But I still watched the game twice. I still got to see Usher, the halftime. All right, before we dive into the game, you have to tell me, did you watch Usher or
I
did
watched
you
Usher.
SpongeBob?
I watched Usher, and what I'm
Okay.
going to do today, sometime, is I will find the SpongeBob halftime show, and I will watch that as well.
Shut up. Are
I'm
you
gonna see
really
both.
going to
Yes,
find
yes, I am.
SpongeBob?
Yes, I'm going to watch the SpongeBob halftime. I will find it.
Wow, that is crazy to me. I
I
am not
don't.
seeking out SpongeBob SquarePants halftime show.
I don't regret my choice though, because I got to see Usher take his shirt off, and I was happy about that.
Really? Okay.
Yes. Whew. Okay.
Okay. Wait. We just have another conversation in here. When Usher took his shirt off, I'm like, why is he taking his shirt off?
Because it's Usher.
But I feel a little bit better knowing that you enjoyed it. Okay. I think we've just lost Faith here. So that means I'm not sure if we're still going or.
Oh no. Sorry guys, technical difficulties. Okay, sorry.
Okay. Wait. Oh, I was just about to log off. So you're there. Okay. Did you hear
I'm here.
anything I said?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, you were frozen.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, it's raining here, so my internet is probably affected by that.
That's awesome. I just kept on talking. I didn't know if you could hear me or not.
Sorry, guys.
On my side, Faith was just a frozen face. Okay. So, okay, let's dive into the game.
Okay.
And then we'll talk. We'll go back to Usher taking his shirt off. So in a second here.
Okay.
Give me your break the game down. Give me your thoughts of the game.
Oh, I think I feel like I'm gonna upset people when I say this, but I found this game to be very boring to watch, honestly.
Okay, keep on.
It was just, I mean, neither of the teams really played how I expected they were going to play, and I was just not impressed with the Kansas City Chiefs game at all. Not at all. And honestly, I was a little surprised that the 49ers had a lead for majority of the game. I was honestly shocked by that. And then it went into overtime, and then I really honestly thought that the 49ers were going to have it after like third quarter, and then they went into overtime, and then the Chiefs ended up pulling it together anyway. So, but I don't know.
I love hearing this through more of a casual fan, you know, than the hardcore fan, which kind of we separate kind of a little bit that way. So keep on. So what were you saying?
I don't know. I just, you know, for a Super Bowl game, I wasn't very impressed.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I was very impressed. You know, there were two parts of this game. The first part was the first half and the first few minutes of the third quarter. I thought both teams were very sloppy, made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah. That
first half, it showed San Francisco had the better players. And so they really came out, and I thought they were taking it to Kansas City. Kansas City was making mistakes, something I was not expecting them to make mistakes. But this game totally came down to, I thought, the second half, I thought Andy Reid really righted the ship and started calling plays more toward his playmakers. I thought the defense really cracked down. And if you've watched football long enough, it comes down, the game, these two teams, the reason why it was a boring game was because both defenses played incredibly well. Both coaches coached their tails off. Both of them, like both quarterbacks, did amazing. everyone did what they were supposed to do, but the thing that separates a great team from an average team is, one, who makes the mistakes, okay, and how do they capitalize on those mistakes. Both teams made mistakes, but the 49ers did not punish Kansas City for making the mistakes. Not at all. When Patrick Mahomes threw that interception, that was the first interception he had in the last two postseasons. That was the first interceptions in 2 years for him. And they got 0 points out of it. The one fumble, they got 0 points out of it. They did not capitalize. When the 49ers made mistakes, Kansas City at least got 3 points out of it. And that was the big difference. And then the big play, the fact that the Kansas City was able to get a field goal at one point off of 49ers mistake, and then blocking that extra point. Extra points are just money in the bank.
Yeah.
And if they make that extra point, if the 49ers make that extra point, then most likely they win the game, because Kansas City doesn't have to go down there and kick a field goal to tie things up. No, they have to score a touchdown, either win or you're dead.
Yeah.
But these little mistakes or execution when they blocked the extra point was the difference in the game. And then Patrick Mahomes was unreal. I thought Brock Purdy did a really good job. A couple of times they really shook him up a little bit, but Brock Purdy was stellar. But there are moments in this game. There are 3 MVP moments in the game. In the first half, at the end, where there's very little time left in the first half, and Patrick Mahomes drives down the field for a score. At the very end, they needed that last drive to take it into overtime, and they did it. And then the most incredible part of it all, when you're in overtime, the fact is, first, Shanahan accepted the ball. Normally you kick the ball off and you want the ball next. But I think Shanahan was thinking, we didn't want to come from behind. We didn't want them to go down the field and score and then put all the pressure on Brock Purdy. And so I agreed with his decision to take the ball. They went down the field. The 49ers went down the field. They were able, the defense, most of the game, the Kansas City's defense would bend but never break. And so they went down the field. They kicked the field goal. They had the lead. If it wasn't for the new rule, the game would have been over and the 49ers win the Super Bowl. But this new rule came into play. So they kicked it. Now you have Patrick Mahomes. And I said this, Patrick Mahomes doesn't make mistakes. Patrick Mahomes rises to the occasion. And so I thought, it's over. The minute Kansas City had that ball and they started driving. And at one point, it's 4th down. And Patrick Mahomes runs for that first down. I mean, the guy can do it all. He drove down the field and then they scored a touchdown. It was pretty much when Kansas City needed something, they were like, okay, Patrick Mahomes, we need a field goal. You got it. We need a touchdown. No problem. You got it. That's what separates the all-time greats from the incredibly good. And I kind of felt like Brock Purdy was the incredibly good. Like, he was a really good quarterback this game. Can't no one say anything about Brock Purdy. Can't anyone say anything about Shanahan. They did their job to the best of their ability. Can't anyone say anything about that defense. The fact of the matter is, one side had Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes And that was the difference. In my eyes, it really showed. Patrick Mahomes, if the players were covered, he ran. They were calling, Andy Reid was calling the perfect game as they were driving down the field, and that Patrick Mahomes was executing. And in the end, I mean, it was just, I thought it was a thing of beauty how they went down the field. I went back and watched the game again because I wanted to make sure I looked at the game kind of through, I didn't want any biases toward Patrick Mahomes. And it was just like every time Patrick Mahomes' back was up against the wall, he really came through. So do you agree on that?
No, I do. I feel like Brock Purdy, I was very impressed with him this game.
Absolutely.
They did a lot better than they did the past two games, and that's like why I said I was honestly kind of surprised of how the game went in the first half, just because of how the 49ers played with the Lions and the Packers and how they just kind of let things happen up until, the second half of the game, and then they would come back and retrieve the points that they had missed. So I really thought it was going to be Kansas City Chiefs were just going to destroy them in the first half. I thought that's what was going to happen, and then that's not what happened. It seemed like
it was really the opposite.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The thing was, here's the crazy thing though. They didn't capitalize. The 49ers, that first half was clearly the better team. They were the more talented team. They were the most prepared team, in my opinion. But they did not capitalize. They did not get the points that they should have had. This could have been a much larger lead that they had. They blew it. I mean, in many ways, it wasn't that they blew it. It was more that Kansas City defense kept bending but not breaking, giving up a field goal here, a field goal there. It wasn't like think about it. In that first half, the only way the 49ers scored was on a trick play. That was it. The defense kept bending but not breaking. And in that play, you just weren't prepared for. You don't expect your wide receiver to throw a touchdown. And Jennings did a great job, but with the exception of a trick play, the defense controlled and was like, okay, we just have to hold serve, get into halftime. Andy Reid kind of it was like they calmed their nerves down because there was jitters. I felt like more on Kansas City's side where they were making the major mistakes.
Did you see Travis Kelce screaming at Andy Reid? I was like, oh my gosh.
Okay, that could have been a horrible situation. That could have been, okay. Andy, and listen, I'm going to give Andy Reid credit again. Mm-hmm. Because this could be a disaster. Number one, when Kelce came running over, if you played any major sports at this level, you're fired up. You run over and you're like, don't take me out of the game. You run over. But this is old man Andy Reid, and you caught him off guard. He's looking at the sheet and everything. And so he runs over and he bumps him as he's yelling. And Andy Reid stumbles. He drops the clipboard. Then the other guy comes in and pulls him off like he's trying to attack him. And that looked bad. Yeah. Did it not look bad?
Yeah.
Dude, you can't be beating Andy Reid down.
What was funny with that, there was an interview after the game, and when somebody asked him about it, and Travis Kelce just said, "I was just telling him that I loved him."
See, because sleep dog over here, I'm over here with visions of sugar plums in my head on my pillow, and I'm sleeping through all this. I didn't see that, but I did see uh, how Andy Reid just kind of made a joke of it, like
Yeah.
he don't have the balance like he used to, and just kind of blew it off.
Yeah.
Because let's say Andy Reid just a little bit more and he falls. Let's say he takes it a different way.
Could have ended
That would have been a disaster.
Yeah.
Holy crap, that would have been a disaster. And
Yeah.
even if they won, it could have been really bad. But Andy Reid, it's not as there's a thing where if you've played sports, there's that coach that always has his pride and his ego and it's always on his shoulder. And it's kind of like, you don't show me up. And there's coaches that would have made that a bad thing.
Yeah.
Andy Reid just swept that under the rug, like, oh, nothing to see here, just a mere bag of shells. And the media would have eaten that alive, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
They would have eaten that alive, especially Andy Reid. It's the Super Bowl, Travis Kelce, who's dating Taylor Swift, all of that. It could have been a lot worse, but it wasn't. That's the thing with Andy Reid. He's that consummate professional. And you can tell these guys, he gives them the room to be fiery and be themselves without the worry.
Yeah.
And so I thought they did a really great job. I thought during the game, Andy Reid had things under control. And then during a situation that could have been bad, he totally diffused it like no big deal.
Yeah.
I don't mean to tell you when to go on break. I was going to say, we're going to go on break.
Yeah, we're going
to
take a break.
And then we're going to look at some other things. Talk about the halftime, these teams and how they're going to, what this Super Bowl means, all of that. I didn't mean to just take your job. I totally took your job from you on that one. You're looking at me like, listen, sucker, this is my gig.
I decide when we go on break.
don't you dare. You're talking about Kelce knocking somebody over. I'm waiting on you to knock me over. Like, this is my stuff.
All right, guys. Well, when we come back, we'll dive more into the Super Bowl, but we're going to take a quick break and we'll see you in a little bit.